981, come on, 81, left, look.
Here at Redlands East Valley High School with Coach Bruich. Friday night, Redlands East Valley beat A.V. Miller, both for homecoming and family night. It was 21-13, and Redlands East Valley went to 6-0. Okay. So 21-13, you guys win. You go to 6-0. Tell us about the game.
It was a hard-fought game. I have a lot of respect for the way A.V. Miller played on the field. Some of their antics that they pulled at halftime, borderline, not very classy, but it fired our kids up for the second half. Traditionally what happens when you play a family night game or a homecoming game is the atmosphere is totally different and your kids aren't really into it. You know, it's hard to get into it. You have a DJ there. There's just all kinds of things going on. Same thing with family night. Your family's there before the game. It's not your usual structure. So we typically don't play very well on either family night or a homecoming. Well, I challenged our kids and I say, I know we don't typically play it very well, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them on the same night so we get it over with in one shot. So I kind of expected it to be a little bit of a dogfight. I think in most cases, teams lose that kind of game. In fact, last year against Chino Hills, we lost our family night and we didn't play very well. Our kids responded and they rallied and they're a good enough football team that through it all, they posted a victory.
Okay, so we did. We saw A.V. Miller pull some antics, sort of try to show people up, act a little crazy. How do the kids use that to really propel them in the second half? Because the second half, it seemed like they controlled it a lot more than in the first half, and were able to win the game.
I think that our kids were almost all the way up the ramp, but a lot of them were up the ramp and saw what was going on, and it fired them up. For one, you know, we're trying to get our homecoming halftime show going, and for two, it's just disrespectful. I mean, their families are in the stands, you know, and the gestures that were made towards the stands, I mean, their families are there. You know, it doesn't take much more to fire a kid up than that.
Okay, so A.V. Miller, great win, put you to 6-0. Interesting, and we talked a little bit about this last week, but even with the win, you dropped a little bit in the rankings. It was expected, but why?
Strength of schedule. Strength of schedule is going to kill us the next 4 games. I'm not saying we're going to play teams that aren't prepared and well coached, but their rankings are very low. So it's as you play them, if you don't beat them by 70, your ranking drops. And I don't know that we can score 70 points right now, to be honest with you.
Okay, so the big part of the schedule against the rank, we're up front. Now we're in CBL playing. And that's just sort of how it has to be.
Yep.
All right. Next week, what a game. All right. This is the rivalry game against Redlands. You've had a little history with Redlands, and interestingly enough, as I was looking, it looks like we've talked about your dad before. But before we get into our game, let's talk a little bit about that. He coached for Fontana back in the Powerhouse days. You're growing up. Were you on the sidelines?
Oh, I was the ball boy. Always the ball boy.
Okay, so you're always the ball boy. What does it mean to compete against Redlands? He had a 19-year winning streak against them. What does that mean to you now after being part of that, growing up, and now you're coaching a different school against them? Anything?
Not really. I mean, when I was at Fontana, we just beat them. That's what we did. You know, they were Redlands, we were full high, and they were kind of our league rival. And you know, they came from money, and we came from Steel Town, and their dads were our dad's bosses. I mean, it's just kind of the way it was, and so we took pleasure in beating them back then. You know, back in the days. Here at REV, it's kind of the same way in a sense that they're the school that everybody went to, the very traditional school, and we're like the little stepchild. And so when you can put it on, when you can put it on the traditional school, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, so 4 years, a 4-game winning streak. The smudge part, as we see here, part of our set today. Great pick. How do you approach them? How do you, obviously without the game plan, just the exact same?
You don't approach them any different than any other team. I think that's where people make a mistake in a rivalry game. Is the reality is this is our league, this is Citrus Belt League, and we are trying to become 2-0 in the Citrus Belt League. We're trying to get that second win under our belt. Therefore, they happen to be the opponent. And if we approached it as we have to beat RHS, we have to beat RHS, we have to beat RHS, I think our kids would lose it. I think if you change your approach that you have week in and week out, it's like what happened to us last week in Family Night Homecoming. It creates for some weird things. Some kids play weird and weird things go on, and the ball doesn't bounce your way ever because you're pressing so hard to beat a rival instead of playing a Citrus Belt League game.
Okay, and they're going for 2-0 too, because they beat Ohio last year, so a little bit more intensive a game. Being at their facility, anything different than being at our somewhat home turf?
The reality is we don't have a home field. So wherever we play is where we play. We're basically a guest every week somewhere. So it doesn't really matter to us. We played there 2 years ago. The atmosphere was awesome. Their stands were full. Not only were our stands full, they brought in end zone bleachers that we filled up too. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun.
Okay, so that type of high school atmosphere, is there anything better than that?
Can't beat that. Can't beat that for anything in the world.
8,000 fans screaming, yelling, competing against each other, and then the teams on the field are going at it.
Exactly.
Okay. So Friday night, Redlands High School. You take your 6-0 REV Wildcats up against Redlands High School. Should be a great game.
I hope so. And it's 7 o'clock, like you said. Not 7:30 this week. The atmosphere should be electric. It should be. It's one of the greatest things in high school football.
Okay. Any injuries? Any concerns about defense, offense?
Yeah.
Anything?
Dominic Robinson has a really poor or bad sprained ankle.
Okay.
He's going to try to give it a go, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. If not, Edmund Faimalo, who's an all-county offensive lineman, can come over and play both ways. He's ready. We do get Darius Parrison will be playing this week,
okay,
for sure, double sure.
Yeah, because last week you thought he was, but then last minute you pulled him.
Yeah, there was just some question as far as his eligibility. Taylor Thompson's going to try to make his return today at practice.
Okay.
So offensively, with the exception of D-Rob, Dominic Robertson, our left tackle, we could be at full strength. We could actually have some running backs, which would be weird for us. It would be weird to have like actual running backs. We haven't had it. We haven't had one all year.
Okay, so is there challenges though when these guys come back to get the offense thinking back to them now that they've been out for a while, or is it just sort of they come back in and it sort of meshes?
I hope they don't press. I hope they don't press. I hope they just do what comes natural to them. Darius got a full week of practice in yesterday. We know he's ready to play. Taylor's questionable. He's in a lot of pain, so we'll see what happens with him. But man, it would be really nice to get our full arsenal back together.
Yes, exactly. So D-Rob, if he does sit out this week, do you expect him back next week? It's not that serious, maybe a week of rest, or does it just...
I think I'm going to try to make him tough it out this week, and he might be able to take the next 2 weeks off if he needs to. But this is a game that I think we need to be at full strength because as we learned on last Friday night, every team is going to give us their best shot because of who we are and how high we're ranked. Every team's going to come with everything they have in their cupboard, and I think we got out-efforted last week, and I think it was a great lesson for our kids. We can't just show up because we're Rev and we're better than you and just write in the score. We actually have to play. So I think it was a big lesson for our kids.
Well, and Redlands usually comes a little bit harder, especially with the 4-game losing streak. They'll probably even have that much more energy coming towards us to try to stop that streak.
I have no clue what they have in store for us. I know it'll be something. Again, we don't really worry about them. We just worry about how we're going to prepare and how we're going to play. We let them worry about us. We don't do the same with them.
All right. Well, good luck, Coach, on Friday night.
Thank you.
And let's get another victory for the Rev Wildcats. Friday night, Larry Dodge Stadium at Redlands High School, 7 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you there. Check us out on revfootball.com or on Facebook at Rev Football. Go Wildcats.
Go Wildcats. See you Friday.